a lot of people are getting into this mindset of everything's work, like you said, the 20-hour work day, the 80-hour work week. It was an old-fashioned badge of honor. People would do it in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and then they get to 50 and they're at risk of heart attack. So in the UK, in medicine, but in a lot of other countries, medical practice, we have what's known as a Q risk score. And it's primarily based around some of your blood measurements. Are you a smoker? Are you obese? And a lot of these sort of things. But it does capture about the mental health as well. Now, the person that you pick up at 50 that hasn't had non-negotiables, done the 80-hour work weeks, never sets time aside for themselves, has had poorly managed relationships, their Q risk score is always higher. The person who's managed their lifestyle properly from a young age, had non-negotiables, communicated with people, they will have a lower Q risk score. So, is it better to have a lower cardiovascular risk score past the age of 50, particularly for men? Absolutely. The same for women. Usually, cardiovascular risk comes at a later date for women. We have different physiology. But the same thing, if they set up practices in place from an early age, that'll make all the difference. What this monk mode, work is doing is forcing you into not creating non negotiables, not creating balance, and leading you down a path of this is what you know, this is the way, and there is no other way. So balance is the key thing. I think dispelling the myth of not having balance gets you success. You may have missed out on that meeting that could have got a business opportunity because you happened to be socializing at that time. You wouldn't have taken that opportunity, sat at a laptop for 20 hours a day. So definitely think dispelling the myth of balance and not balance is key. Get some balance, get some non-negotiables, speak to people about those non-negotiables, get a community around you, build that community, and you'll make all the difference. Yeah, there's a lot of information there. I think I've covered a lot of it. Be mindful of your cortisol circadian rhythm. In clinical psychiatry, the first thing they ask a client, or one of the first things, is when do you wake up? Make waking up consistent. If you wake up at different times, sporadic, your cortisol circadian rhythm is kickstarting at a different time every day. You want to try and make your wake up time the same, no matter the go to bed time. So if you have a later night because you're working, still get up at 6. If you get an early night because you're a bit tired, still get up at 6. Keep that consistent and it sets your hormones up for the day. That's one thing as a practical blueprint. It's proven in clinical psychiatry. In physiology, it's very much the same. You want to wake up at the same time, very similar throughout the year for the most part. Generally, what's seen as a rule of thumb in, I'd say, from Western Europe down to Middle Africa, around 10 p.m. at night, around 6 a.m. in the morning, depending on the sun, when it rises, when it sets. That's generally going to keep you in good stead. Now, obviously, life happens. You're going to have the occasional late night, but it's fine. That's step one. If you're doing that, chances are you're having decent sleep cycles before you've gone through your day. I would say this is particularly aimed at young people. Do not make this your alarm. And do not set alarms to tell yourself to go to bed. Those two things ruin your circadian rhythm, ruin your sleep cycles. Get a manual alarm, plug it in, and make sure it's away from your bed. Have nothing next to your bed. No phone, no charging points, no alarm clock. It takes around 45 seconds to wake up. So when you go over, you press the alarm, just stand up for a moment, maybe go brush your teeth. You're awake now. There's no snoozing. Cortisol has started, and you're ready for the day. Get sunlight early if you can. Get daylight early. Get some natural oxygen in the body. Start your day that way. Also, the practical tip around caffeine, let things set up naturally, let them come down naturally, then you can have your caffeine. That's another tip. Can you get some light exercise in the morning? Natural energy? Why not? That's a good thing to try and do. If you can walk a little bit longer in the morning, that's going to help you. Now, for your food, diet, things like that, I think there's a stereotype of breakfast is the most important meal of the day. If you're working quite a lot, if you're trying to make it happen, I'd say lunch is the most important meal of the day because that's going just before your mid-afternoon dip. You have a heavy lunch, it's full of high calories because you didn't have a good breakfast or you didn't set up the start of your day. Your mid-afternoon dump's going to be a lot worse. You'll be less productive. You'll be less cognitively aware. So have a good, healthy, lean lunch ready for the rest of your day. Now, the evening, that's where you piece it off into what can you do. If you exercise regularly, I would opt for weight training, weight bearing exercise in the evening, where you have your last bit of cortisol spike, your body temperature is at its highest, and with that, your muscles are just more ready. If you're doing it in the morning, your grip strength isn't there, and you can't really lift weights as much. So, cardio morning, weights evening, that's a good start. And then for the evening, that hour and a half sleep hygiene, phones off at some point. I could probably show you on here. If you've got dimmer lights, you can probably see it on the screen. Just gradually do this, everything around you for the last hour and a half. You should have this kind of brightness. You probably can't see it by the end of the night. You shouldn't be a bright screen you're looking into. That's your brain signaling socialization. Your brain is thinking it's daytime. It's obviously nighttime. You're meant to be going to bed. I'd say if you put all of those things into place, you're going to set yourself up pretty well to be healthy, cognitively functioning at its absolute best. Then you'll just go from step to step.